ground here in the United States.
To see our interview with Legal Alert, go to democracynow.org. Judge Boasberg set a deadline of noon today for the Justice Department to provide more information on the deportation flights, including how many people it believes are covered by the Alien Enemies Act of 1789, which the Trump administration invoked to justify the deportations. The Justice Department is now attempting to remove Judge Boasberg from the case altogether. Trump's so-called border czar, Tom Homan, told Fox News the judge does not have authority over the planes because they were over international waters when his written order was issued. Homan added, quote, "I don't care what the judges think." Meanwhile, White House aide Stephen Miller appeared on CNN falsely asserting the Trump administration has the right to violate court orders it disagrees with.
What we are expecting is the Supreme Court to say what has always been the case, which is when the president is using his powers as commander-in-chief, those determinations are not subject to judicial review. How are you going to expel illegal alien invaders from our country who are raping little girls, who are murdering little girls, if each and every deportation has to be adjudicated in a district court judge? And that means you have no country, it means you have no sovereignty, it means you have no future.
The Department of Homeland Security said Monday it had detained and deported Brown University professor Dr. Rasha Alawiya, despite a judge's order that she was not to be removed from the United States. Her lawyers argued the federal government willfully disobeyed the court order. DHS said it deported Alawiya because she attended the funeral of slain Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah during a February trip back home to Lebanon. The funeral was a major event in Beirut, attended by hundreds of thousands of people. The deportation over the weekend triggered major uproar, including in the medical community. Dr. Alawiya is a transplant nephrologist, a highly specialized surgeon in critical need, and associate professor at Brown University. The Environmental Protection Agency is planning to eliminate its scientific research and development office, firing as many as 1,155
biologists,
toxicologists, and other scientists. That's
a whole bunch of scientists, thousands of them.
Democrats on the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin has said he wants to cut.
All right, so I figured that was going to be a good segue to this live stream that we are going to do. And the reason why I wanted to give some context into what everybody out there is saying about Trump, because obviously I've already played these games. What do you mean by that, Twiddle Fegan? Yeah, Twiddle Fegan. Interesting screen name right there. But let me know what you mean by that. I've already played these games. I'm wondering what exactly you mean by that, by playing these games. And if you have any elaborate explanation, please care to share with all of us. So another thing that many people are complaining about with Trump is the mass deportation. Now look, I understand there's some good and some bad that comes with this, but the news clip that I just played, hi, how you doing, Goofy Goober? So the news clip that I played emphasized a story about a doctor who was from Lebanon who attended a Hezbollah funeral, and as a result of that, she was deported. Do you mean you played, what do you mean do you play these games before? Okay, hello, Scott. Scott says hello. How are you, Scott? So, we have to wonder, right? There's going to be a lot of things that Trump does good, and there's going to be a lot of things that Trump does bad, and there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to agree with him, and then there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to agree with him. And we're going to try to get to the bottom of all of that. Also, let's take into consideration why Conor McGregor decided, out of all places, to go to the White House on St. Paddy's Day. Now, why is that significant? Well, I'm going to tell you. Why go to the White House rather than go to Ireland? Maybe because you're not invited in Ireland the way that you think you are. And we're going to get to the bottom of that. What has happened in the sentiments of the Irish people that has changed towards Conor McGregor? Did it have something to do with the Nikita Hand case? Maybe, perhaps. Or was it a long time coming that could have happened a long time ago due to other infractions that Conor McGregor is, has committed? What is bro about? Do you play these games before? I said I played these games before, and I said I play these games before. What do you mean? Yeah, I don't understand what the meaning of that. You're going to have to give me more context in order to sort of give you a clear answer or a clear reaction to these things. But nonetheless, make no mistake about it. Trump is blind to any infractions that any of his friends have done. I think it's a certain aspect of blind loyalty. No, I'm not going to give you up. Do you worship white Jesus? Jesus is not to be worshipped. As a Muslim, we see Jesus as a prophet, not as anything else other than that. So as a result of that, I don't worship any man or anything like that. All right. Sorry about that. Someone had to parallel park. Do I play the games already? Hello, Brutal. Hey, everybody, let me know in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear, all right? Just wanted to make sure that my volume was loud and clear here and that everybody can hear me. Let me know straight off the bat. Give me a 1 or a 2 on the chat if you hear that. Name a car for an edit. I don't understand what you mean by that. Really strange comments that you guys have going on here, right? No context to a lot of them. Don't really know what any of them mean, but clear. Okay, so you can hear me clear. All right, awesome. So Conor McGregor is no longer welcomed in Ireland, but the way that he's seen in America is completely blind to how the Irish see him. You see, the Irish are not too happy with Conor McGregor. I am an editor of a car. Name a car. Dude, I think you got no brain. What does this mean, little bro? What do you mean? Okay, I think you're referring to someone that you're talking to in the chat. Okay. So Conor McGregor is hated in Ireland. And I'm going to give you some explanations on the Irish mentality as to why that is. Look, the Irish mentality, it's very much liberal. They're also very trusting of the government, right? Not in a way that Americans are. Americans are hyper skeptical, very suspicious over everything. And as far as that goes, there's two contrasting reasons why they look at Conor McGregor as a criminal and why America sees him as a hero. I mean, simply because Americans, let's just be honest about this, right? Would you say that Americans are forgiving? Is that fair? Is that fair to say in comparison to, let's say, other nationalities, especially the Irish? You see, the Irish have become this liberal, pseudo leftist type of place. Let's just be honest about it. Most of the Irish Catholics believe, therefore they wouldn't be happy about his loose morals. You're right about that, right? Would you say that the Irish are the most Catholic religious country there is? At least, how about in comparison to Mexico? I think I would say the Mexicans are probably more religious than the Irish, or maybe they sort of have something about that. Wait, what about Donald Trump America? Conor McGregor visited Donald Trump, and so that's what we are reacting to. Also, how about that doctor, Dr. Alawi, that was released and sent to Lebanon against the wishes of the Supreme Court? Basically, Trump overruled the Supreme Court. Now, yes, Donald Trump overruled the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court sort of granted it unconstitutional for her to be deported. And she was deported because she attended a Hezbollah funeral. And by the way, it's like if you're Lebanese and you're living in Lebanon, or if you're visiting Lebanon, there's going to be higher chances that you're going to run across somebody at a funeral, right? Let me tell you, I've been to Egypt a few times, right? And I don't know what that is. I don't know how to respond to that, but maybe I shouldn't respond all the time while I'm talking, but nonetheless, yeah, so going back to what I was saying, in Egypt, I've gone to a few funerals, by the way, not of my own choice. I just happened to be praying at a mosque, and they just decided, hey, you know what, we're going to have a janazah prayer here, which is Arabic for a funeral prayer, and I just happened to have been there. Didn't know any of the people that were involved, didn't know any of their families or anything like that. I was just there at the mosque praying, and next thing you know, there's a funeral going on. So could that be the case for Dr. Alawi? I mean, if that's the case, can you really label her a terrorist or a terrorist sympathizer, or even at best a Hezbollah member? And that's sort of the question that I think is really important to ask. Now, the fact that Trump, Lebanon residents attended a Hezbollah funeral, yes, because no, she attended. It was a doctor who got deported that attended the Hezbollah funeral. And what I'm saying to can we really her at that attend nefarious intentions towards the United States? So again, that's the controversy behind this. And the other controversy is the fact that Trump overruled the Supreme Court. Dude, I was about to lose my mind. She keeps yapping. I don't understand what you mean by that. She keeps yapping. There was a time in the United States where where the president actually overruled the Supreme Court, and that was during the time of Abraham Lincoln. Safer than sorry is America way now. Safer than sorry is America way now. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that America is a lot safer now that they're taking these measures to deport people? Or are you saying that it's no safer than any other time at any other, at any other given decision or any given executive decision that the president makes? Let me know what you mean by that. But in my opinion, I don't think this woman is dangerous in any kind of way, nor would I label her as a Hezbollah sympathizer or maybe even as a full-fledged member. That would be very difficult for me to sort of take into consideration. Like, how would she be a Hezbollah member just because she attended a funeral? And just like the example that I made when I went to pray at mosques in Egypt, does it mean that I knew these people that were in the funeral? I didn't know any of them. It was just some random people. They had a funeral going on, and that was that. Scuba Steve says, she was at a funeral for a terrorist organization. Why? Till then, go home to Lebanon. Vetting info. Okay. So, I could understand from the side of Homeland Security and people in the United States government that would deem her dangerous. But also, at the same time, I could see why she's not dangerous. And I think what it is a disconnection between humans in terms of understanding and misunderstanding each other. Let me give you an example. When I moved to California, the first city that I moved to was Stockton, California, right? So I lived in a, fairly modest neighborhood that's, let me just say, gang infested. But then again, every part of Stockton is gang infested to the max. So one day I got a job as a nursing assistant, working in hospitals and things of that nature, right? I went there and got my fingerprints done at the sheriff's office. So I had a very interesting conversation with the sheriff. You know what he said to me? He said, boy, let me tell you, I wouldn't go anywhere in Stockton without a strap. This is what he told me. And you know what? At the time, when I was living in Stockton, I didn't own any straps. I didn't own any guns or anything like that. I was relatively new to the area. And for my own experience, it felt pretty safe. Now, why is it that this white police officer, this sheriff, is telling me that Stockton is so dangerous that he can't walk anywhere without a gun, whereas I've walked around in Stockton strapless, gunless, and not armed in any way, and yet felt safe around the people in the neighborhood? And the reason for that is because we have two different life trajectories that we have to live by. You see, at the time, I was living in the hood. He wasn't. He was probably living outside of where he worked at, maybe somewhere in a suburb outside of Stockton, maybe in the suburbs of Sacramento, or maybe just anywhere nearby. But this is his worldview, and you got to understand and respect that. But he also has to understand and respect my worldview that I didn't deem any of the people dangerous, even though I was living in a gang-ridden neighborhood. So you understand what I'm saying, right? So, what did he say here? Sorry, that was your first experience of our country. No, that was not my first experience in the United States. That was my first experience in Stockton. You see, ooh, how about this? A little exclusive right here. We got some, look at this. What happened here? A serious collision going on right here. Look at this. This is why I tell you guys, this is the most epic mixed martial arts channel in the history of mankind, because look, you will never see anything like this anywhere. All right, driving here is kind of dangerous. Yeah, no, so Scuba Steve, that was not my first experience in America. I grew up in New Jersey, okay? I grew up in New Jersey. I came here when I was 7 years old, and I've been living in New Jersey ever since. And then obviously, throughout my whole entire adult life, I have been living in California. Now I live in Sacramento, and here is where I am right now, and here is where I'm taking you guys. So, okay, so going back to what I was saying, right? That is just a different experience that I had than this officer. However, this officer deemed this area to be extremely dangerous for him. As for me, it was just any other area. Now, going back to this example with Dr. Alawi, she probably didn't deem these Hezbollah guys as dangerous, and I'd be willing to bet she probably didn't know or understand that she was at a Hezbollah funeral, or really understood the extent of where she was at. And I think that's just really fair. Jersey, Florida? No. New Jersey, as in the East Coast near New York. So I moved from New Jersey, and then I moved to California right after I had done some time in the military. So yeah, that's a little fun fact about myself. I did some time in the military as well. So, yeah, so just to kind of emphasize on that a little bit. Okay, so now, where should we go with this conversation? How about Donald Trump and Conor McGregor? Two peas in a pod, these two guys, right? Appreciate your service. Hey, you know what? I'm glad that you said that, right? A lot of people say this, but what exactly does it mean when you say, thank you for your service to someone? Now, I appreciate the gesture because the way that I interpret it as a way of, how do I say this? A kind gesture, right? It's sort of like, you know you're supposed to say thank you when someone hands you something. You know you're supposed to say please when you ask for something, right? A common kind gesture. And I feel like when you say to someone, hey, thank you for your service, I feel like that's really what it is, because the reality is, and this is going to be controversial to say, especially for anybody that's served in the military, but for the most part, you're serving the military-industrial complex. You're not serving America in terms of the way that, let's say, an EMT person is really serving America. You choose to dedicate your time to serve our country. Okay, so that's fair. That's a fair assessment. But do Marines, Navy SEALs, Special Forces, and the Air Force and every branch there is, do they really protect America directly? And that's something I question. Now, I know there are instances where they stop terrorist attacks, and granted, that's really what it is. The complex protects. The complex protects. Okay, that's what do you mean by that? So, all right. Let's see here. Yeah, I just question that. I just, question that definitely directly. Okay, well, all opinions are going to vary. We're obviously going to have different opinions on this matter, which is completely all right. But at the same time, I just have a different way of interpreting life, interpreting everything around us. So, with that in mind, speaking of interpretation, the Irish definitely have a different interpretation of Conor McGregor. That is a fact. Because the Irish look at him as an absolute disgrace to their country. Oh, the military complex, yeah. But America loves him and adores him because America is a very forgiving place. And I'm going to be honest about this. America is also a very superficial place. All they see out of Conor McGregor is that he's a rich guy, he's a winner, he's a double champion, and for them, that's enough for them to endorse him and ignore all of the other BS that comes with him. That's really all there is to it. I appreciate that you help protect that right. Yeah, man, and that's another thing, right? Freedom of speech is a protected right. But one has to question, is Trump overstepping the freedom of speech when he goes after people that protest in the name of Palestine? Right? A little bit one-sided, wouldn't you say? But that's neither here or there, or maybe that is, something that we can delve into. Conor McGregor also brought out the immigration policies, right? He compared what was going on in Ireland as a way of praising Trump for his job in the immigration process that is going on right now. Let me get out of here and chill in the park and hang out right here, get some fresh air while I talk to you guys right here. Mr. Boss here says, Conor is another Mike Tyson. Hopefully in 5 years he will make a change and become sober like Mike. Well, I gotta be honest with you, man. What exactly do you mean by sober, right? Because is Mike Tyson really sober? Because, I mean, look, I get it, right? I get weed, maybe is a harmless drug and this and that. But again, it still affects you in some kind of way, right? You know, it affects you in some kind of way, positively or negatively. Let's just be honest about that, right? Hold on, let me get out of the light here so that I can read this properly. Okay, yeah, Conor is masculinity is also what people see in McGregor. Yeah, about that masculinity. So again, I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, I'm trying to think at a very higher level of things, right? Like when you say masculinity, is it because that he is, you know, outright super confident? And if so, at what point does this super confidence relay as, how do I say this? False bravado or insecurity trying to compensate for something? Because I'll tell you this, right? What did he say here? Mike is off the powder and doesn't drink anymore. Really, Conor has always been a drinker. It's the drugs. Yeah, man. You know what? I think Conor McGregor is caught up in his personality. He's caught up in his persona. And a lot of people suffer through this. Liquid courage don't help. No, it doesn't. It doesn't help at all. You see, what Conor McGregor has going on is something very similar to Tupac Shakur. And you know what's crazy is that he has his own record label that he's running right now. Right? He's running Greenback Records. Check out the artists that he signed, right? McGregor signed Exhibit. McGregor also signed Bone Thugs and Harmony. And I think that's it. And I think he also signed a girl band, which is kind of crazy because, I don't know, man. I think he's kind of thinking this is the same formula that they did in 1999, where they got like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. They had the Spice Girls and all of that. So all these boy and girl bands type of scenario that he's trying to cook up. I don't know if that's going to work in the modern music industry right now. Or I don't know, maybe it's just a project that he wants to do as some sort of, not hobby, but a passion subject, right? Because it's very difficult to make money in the world of music right now. And even people who are producers, people who are rappers, people who are artists, many of them sort of look at different avenues in order to garner different attention, garner different types of sponsorships. That's why you see people like Cameron or Mace do podcasts. That's why you see people like Whack 100, who is a music producer, not only a music producer, but also a music manager, a music mogul, also do other things. 8 to 10 one-hit wonders can make one album and sell more. 8 to 10 one-hit wonders can make one album and sell more. Yeah, man, you know what? Again, it's a different era that we are living in right now. And I don't know if that is the case, man. I don't know if it's that easy to just go out and sell records anymore. You would have to blame the UFC and the fans for feeding into Conor's ego for so long. Bro, tell me Khamzat versus Jones. Said hi, Nick L. Bro, tell me Khamzat versus Jones. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that you would like to see Khamzat fight John Jones? You know what? I would fancy Khamzat's chances if John was still a light heavyweight. However, I think right now, John at heavyweight, it really makes a difference in his weight and his distribution of power and how he's going to use all of that to leverage himself into grappling positions. As a light heavyweight, Khamzat still has a chance because he's used to fighting big guys in the gym, but the size of John Jones right now at 240 and 250, that may be a little too much for him to handle. Yeah, definitely not easy. Okay. Bones destroys him, Mr. Boss says. Yeah, I agree. Bones would destroy him right now because of the weight. But if it wasn't for the weight, I think it would be a completely different story, and I think that's something, you know, that we really need to account for. Okay, so okay, so what is this? 1738. Yeah, I'm like, hey, what's up? Hello, yo, what's up, MMA? No Chill MMA, one of my biggest allies in the game right now. You know what I mean? If you guys have seen any of my videos, I've used a clip of him where he made 2024 the most evil and most good people on, you know, the MMA stream world, right? And he sort of marked me in the neutral, you know, in the neutral territory. And you know what? I kind of don't blame him for it. I almost kind of like understand why he took that position, but I'll tell you why he took that position, right? Because he said that I'm a very loyal person, and I am. That's why I'm very loyal to No Chill MMA, because he's platformed me several times. He's helped me get subscribers. He's gone out of his way to promote me, and he doesn't even know me like that. But the fact that he did, I'm absolutely going to appreciate it, and I'm going to ride for him till the end. And coming from a California gang culture, that's just something that we are taught to do, is, you know, be extremely loyal to the people that are going to be loyal with us. But the reason why he didn't put me in the good category, the good versus evil category, and why he put me in neutral, is because if you mess with me in any kind of way, I'm not going to be a good person. I'm not going to be an angel. I'm going to be on absolute demon time, and I'm going to come after you and destroy you and everything that you stand for. And that's just how I ride. So that's a little story of No Chill MMA. So yeah, some of the videos that I do, whether it's an intro or outro, I either add No Chill MMA or my time that I appeared on the Rich Trapper show. By the way, shout out to Rich Trapper. He's a Rolling 60s Crip YouTuber who used to be Nipsey Hussle's homies before Nipsey Hussle had died. So what did he say here? Bro, Kamzat will be effing beast at heavyweight. That's what I'm saying. But the thing is, he's not a heavyweight, right? I think weight matters. A lot of people don't like to admit that weight matters in some kind of way, but they really do. They really matter. So him at heavyweight, we could give him a chance. But right now, I don't know if that is the case. I don't know if I would give him, you know, that much credit right now, especially at the size and the, you know, and a disadvantage that he has going on. So, okay, so let's go back to Conor McGregor and Donald Trump, right? The other aspect of this is the fact that maybe perhaps Donald Trump may be helping Conor McGregor reach some kind of status in the political world. Because Conor McGregor has talked about wanting to move into politics. And you got to ask yourself, well, what is that going to look like? Is Conor McGregor going to look like the Ramzan Kadyrov of Ireland, where he basically runs that whole entire island like a warlord, right? And I wouldn't put it past him doing something like that. So that's something to look forward to in terms of you know, Conor McGregor and his potential of being a future prime minister. But here's the thing, I doubt that he's going to be able to do that. And let me tell you why I doubt that he's going to be able to accomplish that. Simply because of the fact that Conor McGregor is dealing with an Irish population that is brainwashed. Let's just call it really what it is. Mayor McGregor. I don't think he could do that either, right? I mean, obviously, a prime minister versus a mayor. A prime minister is more prestige, more responsibilities in comparison to being a mayor. But even as a mayor, I don't think that he could do that either, because I think the minds of Irish people are so brainwashed. But at the same time, I also can't blame them. I cannot blame the Irish people for having the assessment that they have for Conor McGregor. I mean, how can you? The guy is unhinged. The guy has done things that you're not going to agree with. But at the same time, there's always this but, and this is where a lot of the Americans come in to support him. It is always this aspect of the fact that his accomplishments are something that you never can deny. And because you can't deny any of his accomplishments, that gives a leeway for Americans to sort of excuse his behavior. Because if you ask Floyd Mayweather what America is about, he will tell you that America is exactly what he is and what he embodies, which is what? What is Floyd Mayweather? He's an undefeated fighter, rich guy who never loses. And guess what? That is one thing that America constantly emphasizes. They constantly emphasize winners. They constantly emphasize the guy who has all the money in the world, right? That's all that we care about, because America is the most superficial country in the world. Do you want proof of why I say America is the most superficial country in the world? I'll give you an example. Going back again to the trip that I made in Egypt a couple of decades ago. Wow, which is crazy to say, right? Okay, I met another Egyptian American who's from New York in a wedding in Egypt, right? He started calling this kid fat. I said, bro, you can't be calling kids fat like that, man. You know what I mean? You're going to destroy their confidence and you're going to hurt their feelings and this and that. You know what he said to me that was very compelling? This Egyptian man from New York that I met at a wedding in Egypt, he said to me, you're not going to affect kids here like that. And I said, why? He said the reason why is because, well, it's not like how it is in America. You see, the reason why that would hurt the feelings of an American kid who's about to be a teenager is because everything here in America is about superficiality, trying to get at the girls, trying to get a girlfriend at a certain age. Look, man, in Islamic countries, there are no boyfriends or girlfriends. It's either you're married or unmarried, and at some age when you're ready to perform your bedroom duties, that's really the time that you should be getting married, and they don't make any bones about that. So, again, it's a completely different world. And everything that I know about America, it is literally about who is the best looking, who is the most rich, who is the most successful, who has the most trophies. That is literally what America emphasizes. And and you know what, for better or worse, because if you look at the Olympics, guess what? Guess who medals the most? It is America. Adam Khan, hello, brother. Hope you are doing well. Yes, Adam Khan, shout out to you. And thank you for tapping in yesterday to my live training session. I decided, you know what, today, well, I am going to train, but just not on the live stream, but I will be live streaming and talking the whole time. So I figured I was going to, hello, hope you're doing well. Yeah, doing very well, actually. So decided to take this time to talk for the whole entire session rather than, training. But I will train later on tonight. But thank you for all those that have tapped in. And by the way, if you guys want to check out the insane training session that I go through, check out my live stream that I did yesterday regarding UFC and Netflix. And I also have a video for that too. Not only a video, but also a live stream to go along with it. The live stream was more of the open workout and then just talking about Bo Nickal's next fight, but that's about it. And speaking of fights, the other fight that we're going to talk about is also Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. Now, what's really interesting about these two fellas, right? I remember when Belal Muhammed and Leon Edwards were going to fight for the first time, right? I made a video, and I believe this was on my Facebook conference call podcast. This is before I got on YouTube. I was doing MMA content for Facebook, but then somewhere down the line, my Facebook content got taken down, but that's another story for another time. I actually have a video on it, one of my very early videos on this channel if you guys want to check it out. Why Facebook took me down. I talk about some experiences that I've had with running across law enforcement. Let me just say that. But I don't want to give off too much. Go watch that video if you guys are curious. Mumu says, Salam, brother. How's Ramadan going for you this year? Very good, man. Very good. Ramadan is going very well this year. It seems that every time I'm, I'm content creating during Ramadan, my content is getting better. I'm getting more views. I'm getting more traction. So that's always a good thing. A lot of good things are also going on in my private life, so can't complain about that. So yeah, man, a whole lot of good things. Adam also says here, thank you, brother. I learned a few new ways to train. Yes. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Adam. Now, one of the things that I like to emphasize in my training, because it's mixed martial arts centric, is that I like to train in a way where it has functional patterns. And I sort of learned a lot of these training methods from Kyle Dake, who is the 4-time NCAA wrestling champion. He won 4 different weight classes when it came to wrestling. So that in and of itself is impressive, right? So he has this method where he does functional training patterns, right? And it sort of mimics everything that I did yesterday. So it's sort of in that line and trajectory. So if you learned a lot from it, great. And I hope that, yeah, you do implement it, because there are a lot of good gems and a lot of good styles that, that you can, a lot of good benefits that you can really take from that type of a training module. So where was I? Because obviously in this live stream, we're going on a tangent of different things, but at the same time, I'm also trying to remain in topic. Leon Edwards and Sean Brady. So the first time Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammed fought, I asked this rapper from London, right? I believe his name is Shine City. I asked him, I was like, hey, I'm doing this thing where, I want to bring somebody on to kind of talk about MMA. So he, I scratched that whole thing because he didn't really know anything about MMA at all, this rapper, right? He said to me in exact words, right, in his London accent, he's like, yo, bruv, I don't know who this Leon Edwards character is, but you know what? I do know that Irish fella. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's such a casual thing to say, right? You don't know who Leon Edwards is, but you know who Conor McGregor is. Of course, a casual would know Conor McGregor and not Leon Edwards. But nonetheless, the reason why I wanted to put him on was because I figured, hey, it's against Belal Muhammed. He was also a Muslim rapper from London, so I figured it was a good theme. And then also, here's another thing that a lot of people don't know. Birmingham and Chicago are considered sister cities. I don't know what that means, right? They have these terms for sister cities or whatever, maybe because there's similarities in their city structure, maybe there's similarities in their demographics, or maybe there's similarities in the way that they have their architecture or how their buildings are made and this and that. I don't know what exactly that means when they say sister city, but yeah, either way, Birmingham and Chicago are considered sister cities. So as a result, yeah, I figured it was a good theme. And you know what? I got some good gems out of that. I did a research with this TV show where they swap families. So they had a family from Birmingham, England, swap families with people from Chicago. So I thought it was, a little interesting project that I did. But either way, so Leon Edwards, right? He comes from a very violent city. Sean Brady from Philadelphia comes from a very violent city. Remember, the Super Bowl this year, they won. The Philadelphia Eagles. How did they celebrate it? They decided they were going to wild out, crash out, and destroy their own city, which is insane. Because usually, a team that behaves like this are usually the losing team, and usually losing out of a very controversial decision or a controversial result. So I thought it was interesting that that these people went out of their way. But man, either way, man, Philadelphia is a gang haven. It is a murder capital of the East Coast. And I urge you guys to also check out this documentary from Trap Lore Ross, right? What was the guy's name? Shoot. He was the killer of Gilly the Kid's son. Okay, so I urge you guys to check that out. It kind of delves into that particular topic and all of that. So I urge you guys to check that out. I think that's an interesting documentary if you're interested in Philadelphia. But nonetheless, that is where Sean Brady comes from. He comes from that area. He comes from that section. Leon Edwards comes from a section of Birmingham where there's a lot of knife crime. There's also a lot of gun violence. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration about England. They often think that because you can't own a gun legally that they don't have guns. Bro, they have guns, out the woodwork, and usually they have guns because of the certain criminal elements that's within that country, right? So yeah, guns is a common thing as much as knife crime. It's just never talked about because people often assume that because you're not allowed to own one legally, that somehow you can't get access to it. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. There's a lot of access of guns that they have in England. And as a result of that, it's, yeah, man, it's a very dangerous place. And that's the kind of place that Leon Edwards grew up. So, understand this, right? Leon Edwards is used to violence. And the one documented out-of-cage violence that we saw out of Leon Edwards was against Jorge Masvidal, if you remember. If you remember, right? From Leon Edwards getting punched by Jorge Masvidal. You guys remember that? Who remembers when Leon Edwards got punched by Jorge Masvidal? I remember that like it was yesterday. You want to know why? Because that day was the same day that what's his name? Spence Jr. fought Mikey Garcia in Texas. That was literally the same day. You are very right, brother. Thank you. Yeah. You know. You're from England. I remember you were telling me you were from England. That's why when you said your name was Adam Khan, I thought you were the Adam Khan that is on my Facebook friends list, who's, I believe he's like a social media fitness influencer in some kind of way. And obviously that's not who you are, but yeah, that's who I thought it was when you first came in here. So, yeah, but England is very tapped into, that side of the streets, right? Guns, violence, gangs, and all of that. And that's where Leon Edwards comes from. So, okay, not to digress. So Leon Edwards gets punched by Jorge Masvidal, right? These are two guys that come from the streets. These are two guys that handle their business. The expression that goes, get off or you get mad at. In other words, if you're mad at me for what I said right now, get off. Let's get down, right? And that's exactly what Jorge Masvidal did. He knew that Leon Edwards was surrounding him, threatening him, or at least felt threatened in some kind of way. I don't know how much I can really assess the threat level that Jorge Masvidal was feeling in that current moment of time, but for whatever reason, he felt threatened enough to do something to Leon Edwards, and so he did. He punched Leon Edwards in front of everybody in the camera, and you know what? I was watching that live. I saw that live, and this is why I tell people, man, never miss anything in whatever is going on in MMA. You know why? Because I'll tell you this, man. There's a lot of things that are going on in the backstages. There's a lot of things that are going on in the post shows. And lo and behold, guess what happened? Jorge Masvidal put hands on Leon Edwards, and it was on live TV while Jorge Masvidal was being interviewed by Megan O'Leary. So that's the way that I remembered that particular story. So, yeah, man. what happens if Leon Edwards is to lose this fight against Sean Brady? Because there's a great chance of that happening, right? Sean Brady is a top-level grappler, very good grappler. He can absolutely implement his grappling game towards Leon Edwards, and Leon Edwards would do absolutely nothing about it if Sean Brady could hold him down. So, okay, let's say if he loses, what happens? I think the next course to take is to go and fight Jorge Masvidal. And it would be a great time to do so. You're coming off of a championship loss. Now you're going into Sean Brady. Sean Brady may be able to beat you. And again, that's not a guarantee, but let's say if he does, it would be a great time to fight Jorge Masvidal. Coming from a 2-fight losing streak at that point, hypothetically speaking, for Leon Edwards, and then having to have a bounce back fight. Now, if Leon Edwards was to win, it would be very difficult to give a fight to Jorge Masvidal. Very difficult, because it would show that Leon Edwards is in a whole completely different trajectory, right? In terms of levels, he would be in a completely different level trajectory than Jorge Masvidal at that point. So it would only make sense in that regard. Now, if Sean Brady, if Sean Brady was to win, then where does he go from here? Believe it or not, if he wins, unarguably, you could give him a title shot. Or maybe have him fight the loser of Jack Della Maddalena and Belal Muhammed. Now, how about that fight? That fight literally came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, how insane is that? That fight literally came out of nowhere. Because I know that Jack Della Maddalena was set to fight I don't know who he was set to fight, man, but I think he was set to fight in the London card. But for whatever reason, that didn't materialize. So as a result of that, they did something else completely different. Oh, yeah, check out the graffiti jobs right here. Check this out, guys. I'm going to show you some graffiti that they got over here in Sacramento. People are all looking at me suspicious, like, why am I, pointing a camera at them? But then I would be too. But yeah, regardless, right? So okay. Speaking of violence, right? I wanted to get to this with Sean Brady. Now, Sean Brady, his family was threatened during the Belal Muhammed fight. And you know what? You tell me if there's any Muslim MMA channels out there that will absolutely talk about this, because they won't, right? Obviously, there's a reason why they're not going to talk about it, because it puts certain people at a bad light. But again, this had nothing to do with Belal Muhammed, and you know what? There's no guaranteeing as to say that it was Muslims that did this. But nonetheless, it's the reality of the situation. Sean Brady got threatened by a group of fans. And you know what? This stuff happens in the fight game. It happens. People are extremely passionate. People are very much into their fighter. People are going to support who they support, and that's really what it comes down to. So, here, let me show you guys something here. This is a little historical district right here. Hold on just a second. Can you hear me? Let me, hello, Big Ink. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Give me a 1 or a 2, or let me know if you can hear me clear. Let me know. Can you guys hear me? Can anyone hear me? Let me know if I can be heard real quick here. Yeah, can you hear me? Let me know. Because I'm not sure if I'm being heard or so. So please let me know if the volume is not playing right now. So can you guys hear me? All right, how about now? Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Shout outs to Big Ink MMA. Was I muted earlier, or were you guys able to hear me? Let me know. But all right. I just wanted to make sure that I was heard so that I can get to the next topic at hand, which is, well, actually, I'm only having 2 topics in this particular podcast, which obviously is about Conor McGregor meeting Donald Trump, and then Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady, which is coming up this weekend. So let's see here. What can we talk about with Conor McGregor and Donald Trump? I think we've talked about a lot of things in terms of politics, but also the Irish people and why they don't really like Conor McGregor in the way that Americans do. And I sort of went into details as to why, right? Because once again, Americans, they only care about winners and people who are successful. And anything else other than that, people are not really concerned with in any kind of way. And that is the reason why Conor McGregor can go into the White House and be forgiven for his past sins. But we also got to understand, right? That whole Nikita Hand situation, you know that a lot of people are going to use that against Donald Trump. They're going to say, well, how can you allow a guy like that to come here in any kind of way? Why would you allow him to come here? And they're going to attach Donald Trump to that. Yeah, man, they're definitely going to attach Donald Trump to that, and that's not going to be good in any way at all. You know what I mean? It's a bad PR nightmare for Trump, and it sort of gives the left an easy pickings against Donald Trump. So, yeah, I don't like it at all, man. I think a lot of it is very pretentious, right? There's a serious pretentious nature that comes with meeting world leaders. And don't get me wrong, all politics aside, it is absolutely prestigious whenever a person can meet the president, whenever a person can meet a world leader. It's always impressive. But the reality of it is a whole lot of ass kissing, a whole lot of brown nosing. It's a whole lot of social climbing. That's really what it is. And I think this whole entire visit that Conor McGregor made towards Trump, that's really what it is. That's really what it comes down to. It is not only a PR move, but it is also, how do I say this? A social climbing endeavor. That's really what it comes down to. It is a social climbing endeavor. Yeah, it really is. You really have to think about this, right? Conor is trying to win the hearts of people in America more so than they already love him. But at the same time, it's also a compensation for people in Ireland to look the other way and say, hey, you know what? This guy isn't all that bad. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. Just to show that, hey, you know what? This guy isn't really all that bad. And that's really just what it comes down to. Big Ink MMA, what do you think about Conor McGregor visiting the White House? Do you think that this is good for his career? And if so, is it good enough for his career in a way that perhaps it can lend some positivity towards his home country of Ireland? Or maybe it's just one of those situations where the people of Ireland have made their mind up and a Trump visit isn't going to change any of that. But yeah, man, that's what it really comes down to. So let's talk about Sean Brady and Leon Edwards. How do I see this fight going? I think I'm going to put it all on the line right now. I'm going to say that Sean Brady wins this one. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked that Sean Brady wins because of the fact that Leon Edwards is coming off of a championship loss. Well, here's the thing, right? That fight in Utah, he did win, okay? Because while he was losing at the same time. Let's keep that in perspective, right? He was losing, and then he won with one shot. Jeremy 2.09. Remember me. I do remember you. What exactly do you want me to remember you by is the question. Jeremy 2.09. Are you from Stockton? 2.09. Let me know if you're from Stockton, my man. But yeah, I don't see Leon Edwards winning this one. I think he's a fraud. I think he's going to get fraud checked. He got lucky. And then in the second fight against Kamaru Usman, you could argue that Kamaru Usman won that fight. No, you're not from Stockton. Okay, just checking. Yeah. I think he's going to get out-wrestled the whole entire fight. That's really what it comes down to. By the way, check out the state capitol right here. I'm going to show you guys the state capitol. There's some senators that are walking around here, some political people, and all of that. That's where Gavin Newsom works. Oh, wow. They literally reconstructed the capitol here. that. You said my mic broke. How about now? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me right now. Hey, Jeremy, let me know if you can hear my mic right now. Okay, thoughts on Rodolfo versus Paul Craig? Yeah, you know what? I think after the fight, I think that Paul Craig is very underrated. I don't know much about Rodolfo, at least not in comparison to Paul Craig, but I think the performance that Paul Craig had against Bo Nickel should not go unnoticed. Yeah, it should not go unnoticed at all. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Somebody write on the chat if you can hear me. So. We can hear you, brother. All right, there's Diego Lopez. Shout out to you. There's another original one that that frequents in my chats here. All right, so good. Yeah, Paul Craig, bro. I think that he's got a good chance of beating a lot of people, not just Rodolfo this weekend, but a whole lot of people, especially because of what he was able to do against Bo Nickel. Because Bo Nickel is not an easy task. A lot of people looked at that fight and said, hey, you know what? That's straight fraud check. Okay, they look at that and say, all right, well, you know what? That's fraud check on, you know, on the part of Paul Craig. But in reality, I just think that that's really what happens when you fight the best guys in the world. And Paul Craig is one of the best guys in the world, and there's no mistaking about that whatsoever. There is no mistake in that. What else? What else can we elaborate on this situation? So what do you guys think? Do you think that Conor McGregor is going to get into politics? I know that that's the talk that a lot of people are saying. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think Conor has the discipline to be a politician, at least not a career politician. I don't think, I don't think he's going to have a successful or long career in politics whatsoever, let alone even begin one. So that remains to be seen. Let's check out the scenery over here. right, so it looks like we've got some families here in Old Sac. I am in Old Sacramento. Yeah, I hope Conor stays out of politics. Getting into politics sounds more fun than it actually is. Yeah, it's a lot of tedious tasks that is happening, which, you know what, it kind of makes me wonder, why did Trump even want to do this in the first place? I remember when he first won back in 2016, his facial expression looked very blank, as if he was very surprised of what was going on. And yeah, man. Yeah, it was really interesting to see that. He didn't look like he wanted to be there. Even Obama at some point, right? I remember Jay-Z said in a line, he's like, hey, he said something along the lines like, hey, you know, chill, you're going to get me impeached. Hey, Obama, you don't need none of this. Come chill with me in the beach. Like he said that about Obama. I thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, that's Dana and Trump have a good relationship. They do, and you know what? That relationship makes it very positive for the UFC in a lot of ways. For example, Khamzat coming to the United States to fight. It's going to be a lot easy for Khamzat to come and fight in the United States now. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot easier for him to do that. Because I look at it like, you know, the reason why Khamzat had a hard time coming to the United States is because of the Biden administration, right? Now, obviously, the Biden administration had a serious anti-Russia rhetoric and sentiment that they had going on. And not only that, they acted upon it through policy, which in turn, honestly, gave a lot of fighters a hard time coming out here to compete. Now, what makes me wonder is how come Ankalaev didn't have that same problem? Why is it that Ankalaev didn't have that problem coming here? Well, it's really that simple, right? The difference is that they're not as close to Ramzan Kadyrov the way that Khamzat is. Khamzat seems to be the golden child of Ramzan Kadyrov's whole entire movement. Now, it's not to say that these other fighters are not adored by Ramzan Kadyrov, but man, you're talking about Khamzat as a personal trainer and a personal training partner of none other than his sons, Ramzan Kadyrov's sons. So that's a completely different level of friendship. You see what I'm saying? It's definitely Khamzat's relationship with Ramzan Kadyrov. I agree. It is, yeah, because no other Chechnyan fighter or other Russian fighters have this problem, right? Volkov doesn't have that problem. Ankalaev doesn't have that problem. Islam doesn't have that problem. Because otherwise, if Islam had that problem, then we would not have seen that fight go down in L.A. You know what I mean? And L.A. is obviously in the United States, so, you know, how would that have... how would that have made sense, right? But it seems to be that he's the only one that has these problems, and rightfully so. So that's really what it comes down to. Look at this. This used to be my little spot right here back in 2009 and 2010. Right here, this spot right here is where I used to hang out at. This is literally like the deep ends of old Sacramento right here. Check this out. This is where everybody came and hung out back in the days. Right? Some real old school stuff right here. Look at this. So yeah, it's very informative. It's very unfortunate because Khamzat is very talented. Yeah, but you know what? Guess who is in the office right now? The guy who loves Russia more than any other politician in the United States capital right now. And you know what? He's the only one that really matters when it comes to making decisions on that, because he has the position to do so, and that is Donald Trump, right? Just like when Biden was in office, he obviously had all the power to sort of, give restrictions towards, Russians and people from Russia, which made it, very difficult for them to, come here and compete. At least just specifically Khamzat Chimaev, to be exact. He was the one that had, most of the problems. Look at this old train right here. Check out this old train from back in the days. In Old Sac is where we're at. Oh, wow. Look at this train right here. Wow. It's an unusual looking train. It looks like the train of death of some sort. Looks like a train from Back to the Future. Can you believe back in the days, fights were taking place on a Monday? If you can put that in perspective, Monday. No radio, no home TV. Wow. All seats, $10. First bout, 9:30. Wow. And that right there is a nice little steakhouse. Yes, LA is cool, Diego, but yeah, this is Sacramento. Sacramento is cool too. I like them both. I like Sacramento, LA. I just love being in California, period. You know, it's beautiful. You know, it's beautiful to be out here. It's a great opportunity to be out here. Let's hear what they're talking about over here. right. All right, so I figured I'd give you guys a tour of that part of the city. I've done plenty of tours of that city in this channel. I figured I'd do it one more time. But before we go and before we sign out, obviously let's talk more about Sean Brady and Leon Edwards and how this fight is going to go. So how I see this fight going, I see a fast pace from Sean Brady and Leon Edwards trying to slow it down, maybe with some front teep kicks, keeping him at bay with some jabs. And you know, Leon Edwards, he has a very slow tempo in the way that he fights. Very slow tempo, not tempo. But yeah, I think that's going to show up in this fight. I think what's also going to show up in the fight is Leon Edwards getting taken down over and over and over again. Now, will that mean that Sean Brady is going to win? Not necessarily. But if it goes 5 rounds, I'm going to have to give it to Sean Brady. Because within those 5 rounds, he's going to have the majority of the takedowns. He's going to have the majority of the ground control. And Leon Edwards is going to be on the defense, at least on the ground grappling and scrambling exchanges. And as a result, I don't really see how Leon Edwards is going to get up or have the opportunity to even knock him out if, let's say, Sean Brady is constantly nullifying him, taking him down, letting him know that, hey, you know what, you're not getting up from here. You're not going to stand. You're not going to use your kicks, your front kicks, or anything like that. So I think it's going to be a very tough matchup for, it's going to be a very tough matchup for Leon Edwards. Far more tough than what people would have expected from the beginning. So, but I think this is Sean Brady's fight to win. I think this is his time. I'm not saying that Leon Edwards is done, and I'm not saying that Leon Edwards can't win, but I think Sean Brady is just a bad style matchup for Leon Edwards. I really do. I really think he's a bad matchup for him. And as such, I think that he's going to finish him in this fight. There's a chance he... No. Let's scratch that. There's no finishes. I don't see any finishes happening in this fight whatsoever. I really don't. That's why I'm going with my official prediction as Sean Brady by decision. Right? Just the constant grappling, the constant pace that he's going to put on Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is going to have some good moments. There's going to be some body kicks thrown from Leon Edwards to which may connect. But if there's going to be any finishes, I'm going to say this. If there's going to be any finishes in this fight, it's going to come from Leon Edwards. But who is more likely to win? I'm going to give that to Leon Edwards. I'm sorry, I'm going to give that to Sean Brady just based on the grappling alone. Check this out. It's a little urban farming over here. So yeah, that's my official prediction. What I was saying earlier was that, yeah, I think this is going to be an easy win for Sean Brady, but he has to ride out a whole full 5-round decision. There's no other way to put it. And the reason why I say that is because Sean Brady, I don't think, has the capabilities of finishing him on the feet. Leon Edwards is just too technical for that. But at the same time, like I said, if there's going to be any finish going on to this fight, it's going to come from Leon Edwards. And I think that his defense is good enough to negate whatever power Sean Brady has. But I don't think Sean Brady has enough grappling prowess to finish him on the ground. Not with a submission, not with a ground and pound, not with anything like that, but with absolute ground control. He's going to control Leon Edwards to the maximum effort that he can put on this fight. But, yeah, there's no way, I don't think there's any way Leon Edwards wins this one. It's just not his time anymore, man. I think that with certain fighters, there's just a time frame that you have. And by the way, let's go back to Conor McGregor on this one, right? This is exactly what I mean by this, right? Conor McGregor, I think, is in a realization of his life of knowing that, hey, I could get into politics, I could get into other means of living, I can get into other means of creating a new identity for myself. And this is the reason why he went out to meet with Donald Trump, because he's preparing himself for a new stage of his life. And that new stage involves everything but fighting. Now, there were rumors as to say that, you know what, Ilia Topuria's possible opponent could be Islam Makhachev. And by the way, I may have to make a video on that, because unfortunately, I think that Islam Makhachev, even though he has noble reasons as to why he's turning down Ilia Topuria, this is not looking good for Islam Makhachev. In fact, it's making him look like somebody that is cowardice, even though he's not. He's far from a coward. But what we have is the perception of cowardice on the part of Islam Makhachev. But I get it. I absolutely get it. What he is trying to do is he wants to build legacy. But then again, who is left for him at 155? And as for Ilia Topuria, man, it's very premature for him to leave 145 like that. He needs to go back there and give Diego Lopez a chance, a shot. And then not only him, how about Evloev? There's Evloev in the process as well. What about him? Yeah, man, it's just, there's a lot. There's a lot that he can do, and there's a lot that he can account for, but he's not trying to do that. So he wants Islam Makhachev. He wants to be the 155 champ. He wants to follow in the footsteps of Conor McGregor. And I don't know if you can blame him. You know what I mean? You can't blame him for that. But at the same time, it does leave a certain competitive integrity in jeopardy. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what it comes down to. There's a competitive integrity that they are compromising with by allowing these fights to happen. And that's sort of where Islam Makhachev is at in this particular matter at hand. He is in this trajectory of wanting to fight only 55ers and no one else, right? He doesn't want to fight anybody but 155ers and top 55ers. Not fighting Ilia is harming his reputation. I agree. It definitely is. Even though I can see his point of view. I can absolutely see his point of view. But is it right? Is it the correct thing to do? Maybe not. But it's the best fight that he has going on right now. So, in the process of that, how about Conor McGregor? Now, the thing is, how can you have Conor McGregor go down a weight? You look at how big he is now. It's very, very difficult to see Conor McGregor make 155. It really is. It's very difficult. And also, I think it's even more difficult to see Conor McGregor fight, period. Not just at 155, not just at any weight, but just fight, period. It's going to be very difficult to see him fight just based on the circumstances that he has going on with his life right now. It's almost impossible in a way to get him to fight. But does he need to fight? Yes. But does he really need it? No. Why do I say that he needs to fight but not really is because we all want to see him fight. It's just a natural predisposition you have as a mixed martial arts fan. But in reality, you really don't want to see this guy in there because, quite frankly, there's just better competition out there. There's better guys that we can watch. And he's a shell of his old self. That's really what it comes down to. That's really what it comes down to. Seeing Conor fight, it's going to be great. It could be monumental. But I got to tell you, man, it may not be the best idea. It may not be the best idea. Because he could get himself hurt. A lot of these guys right now, they are at the top of their game. Everybody is good. This is the first time in mixed martial arts history where everybody is good and everybody is solid in what they do. So you got to keep that in mind. You have to keep that in mind. I don't see Conor McGregor fighting ever again. But the trips to the White House, it's sort of his retirement parade. That's what I saw this whole entire endeavor was nothing more than a retirement parade for Conor McGregor. Nothing else. It's nothing more than that. He's here to parade himself and celebrate his career, right? Now, you're probably thinking, well, what does he have to celebrate? He didn't win his last fight. In fact, he hasn't fought in a while. But also, I don't think Conor McGregor has really gave himself the world parade tour that he needed in the past fights that he's had. He's always been jumping from one fight to the next. If you remember, the Nate Diaz fight, prior to that, it was a Jose Aldo fight, and then prior to that, it was one fight after another, and then there's Dennis Seaver, and then there's Max Holloway, and there's this, and then after the Nate Diaz fight, it's on to another Nate Diaz fight, and after the Nate Diaz fight, it's on to Eddie Alvarez, and then after Eddie Alvarez, it is on to Floyd Mayweather. And then after Floyd Mayweather, it is on to Khabib. And then he takes a break after that, rightfully so, a break that's well needed. And then goes into a fight with Cerrone. And then after Cerrone, then he gets into a fight with Dustin Poirier. And then that's Conor McGregor's career in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Like, he never gave himself a proper victory lap. Well, now he does, and now he did, and now he's looking to transition into the next phase of his life, into the next phase of his career. And we don't know exactly what that is, because you know what? He doesn't know exactly what that is. But what we do know is that the impact he made for the world of mixed martial arts, it can't be denied at all. You cannot deny what he has done for MMA and what he has done for the sport that has really done him wonders, but also he's done a lot of wonders for. You know what I'm saying? He created such a huge contribution to the sport that it is undeniable. And I'm going to leave it off with this, right? I'm going to leave it off with this. Speaking of another Irish superstar, how about Everlast? He went on the Joe Rogan podcast a while ago, right? He said that every time I hear the House of Pain song jump around, it doesn't even feel like I was the one in that song. It is as if that song has transferred over into the universe, and I'm completely irrelevant from the fact that I made that song because of how iconic it is. Well, that's literally how I see Conor McGregor's career. All these highlights that you've seen him with the double champ belt and all of that, and having both of those strapped around his shoulders, all of that, the knockouts, 13-second against Jose Aldo, the epic fights against Nate Diaz, and then the fights with Floyd Mayweather, and then with Khabib. All those are iconic. But unfortunately, and in reality, none of those belong to him anymore. Sure, he's earned it. Sure, he reaps the benefits of it. But none of those belong to him anymore in a way where he's almost a separate shell version of who that person was, and that happens with everybody. The Donald Trump that we knew and the Donald Trump that was built up to be president, that guy that we knew in the 80s and that guy that we knew in The Apprentice, we will never see that guy ever again. And that is the reality that we have to face. And you know what? Here's a humbling reality that we all have to understand with this matter at hand, right? We all change at some point. When we were younger, you felt like you had more energy. You felt like you could build more muscle. You felt like you could lose weight easier. But then when you get older, then things start to change. Your metabolism starts to change. Your whole entire look, your whole entire appearance, everything starts to change. And in your physical performance, even more so as an athlete, starts to change. It is just the reality of life. And sometimes some people can deal with it a lot easier than others. For example, Khabib has already transitioned into that life a whole lot easier. A whole lot easier in a way where Conor McGregor is going to have a hard time not reaping all the attention, not getting all of the notoriety, or not getting all of the recognition that he once had. Now, he's still and will always be a relevant name in MMA, but even that, at some point, it starts fading away, and you kind of see the reality of that a little bit. Donald Trump, I remember Conor, when he walked into the Oval Office, he said to Donald Trump, "I really admire the work ethic that you put in," because you look at all the things that Donald Trump has been doing, right? What has he been doing? He's been passing laws, making moves every second, every step of the way, not wasting any time. You know why? That is a man that is operating under the assumption that tomorrow it could all be over. And I'm not even talking about just his political career. I'm talking about his life. He is at that age. So as a result of that, he is moving accordingly to that life trajectory that Trump is in. He has to move in that particular matter because time is running out. And at some point, Conor knew that time was running out. And he didn't waste any time. That's why he became the legend that he is. And that is why he came out and won all those fights through the hard work and perseverance. But at some point, all of that hard work that you did when you were younger, all it does is comfort you as an older person, which in turn really makes you lose everything that made you who you are, which was a fire-hungry dragon ready to slay everybody. But then again, sometimes they say that it is a dragon that gets slayed, hence the term dragon slayer. But either way, that is the reality of this situation, and that is all that I have for this one. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next content, inshallah.
Unclaimed every year. Meanwhile, those who have aged out have lower education levels and earn about half what their peers do on average. Looking forward, Lara says child welfare advocates nationwide are worried about Republican plans to cut the federal budget, which could reduce spending on healthcare, education, housing, and food assistance for foster youth.
Anything and everything could be on the table.
Cuts to Medicaid, for instance, could impact the vast majority of foster youth who get their health care through the program. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.